As of 6 o'clock this morning, the downtown LA curfew was lifted. It was enacted yesterday by Mayor Karen Bass because of the vandalism and looting.
She's joining us now live. Mayor Bass, thank you so much for taking the time to being with us. We know you're very busy.
Thank you for having me on.
So can you talk about how you think the curfew worked, how long you think you'll have to be using it, and what people can expect going forward?
Sure. Well, first of all, the curfew will be nightly, beginning at 8 p.m. and being lifted at 6 a.m. I don't know how long we will need it. We will see. I will tell you that last night there were over 100 arrests, but they were for curfew violations or unlawful assembly. There was no looting, there was no violence, there was no vandalism. So what I am hoping after last night is that people understand that we are very serious about the curfew and that then they do not arrive tonight. And that's what we will see. But the bottom line is that we're not going to accept the violence, the vandalism in downtown LA or anywhere throughout our city.
And of course, Mayor Bass, you're trying to keep order in the city, and you and Governor Newsom now seemingly in this political battle with President Trump, who is taking credit for calming things down. He actually tweeted this morning saying that if he had not sent troops into the city, that the city would be burning down. How do you respond to that, and what do you make of everything he's criticizing you and the governor for?
Well, first of all, the troops that he did send in are guarding one building downtown. So I don't know what he was thinking about. Our curfew, the mobilization of the officers, there were no federal officers involved in that. He also tweeted last Saturday night that it was because of the great work of the National Guard that there was peace in our city when the National Guard wasn't even here. They didn't even arrive until the next day. So I'm just perplexed to know what he is going to do with troops here that are not needed and the Marines. You know, as far as I'm concerned, it is a provocative measure. I think it will contribute to disorder. But we all know that the disorder that has taken place over the last few days is about 5 to 10 streets in downtown LA, not even all of downtown LA, although the curfew does cover the entire downtown area. And so for a city that is 500 square miles, if you go 1 mile in either direction, you don't know that anything is happening at all. So the portrayal of our city as being in chaos, as being disorder all over the place, is just false. It's very damaging. And the bottom line is that it is unacceptable to do that to a city. Once again, I will tell you, I feel like we're a laboratory for an experiment that they're testing out in our city.
Well, along those lines, though, you do have, depending on which media people are taking in, there are a number of people within this country who believe that our entire area is under siege, that this is just a horrible place right now. I see all over, social media, people not wanting to come visit the city, worried about the safety here. Do you think some of this could have been quelled if, we had taken measures maybe locally? I had heard some other supervisors talking about maybe if we had worked more in conjunction with ICE and handed over some of the criminals that are within the community, maybe they wouldn't have to go in and do these big raids and none of this would have started in the first place. What do you make of that?
I mean, I don't know. That is an incredibly naive view of what is happening here, because if you remember last Thursday, the day before the raids, everything was fine in Los Angeles. So we need to be really clear about when this started and why this started. This was a provocation from the administration on Friday that sent fear throughout our city, people not knowing whether or not their workplaces were going to be raided. You have people who are being picked up who are street vendors. There was a guy who was at a car wash. He was a customer. He was there with his son. His son was left alone after he was taken away. They go into these factories and arrest people. How on earth are we supposed to facilitate that? We wouldn't even know who is a criminal suspect. But I would venture to say that when we do find out about who was detained, that the overwhelming majority were not criminals. And you remember now what the president said in the beginning was these were going to be gang members, violent felons, or drug traffickers. And I'm hard pressed to see all of that taking place in the parking lot of a Home Depot with people who are just trying to survive day after day.
And I hear that argument. I think the argument from the other side is that anybody who entered this country illegally has already done something illegal. Tom Homan, even on Fox News, has said, you don't want us to arrest these bad guys. We could arrest them in the safety and security of the county jail, but they won't let us in the jail. They release them into the community, which means we've got to send a whole bunch of teams in the community to find the dangerous person that don't want to be found. What do you say to that? He says sanctuary cities are going to get exactly what they don't want: more officers in the communities and more officers in the work sites.
I'm going to just remind you, was there havoc in our city on Thursday? No, there was not. This is a provocation. This is, to me, the experiment is how far can they go in a city without mass outrage? How far can the administration go in seizing authority from a governor or from a local elected official? So I think what is going on here is reckless. I think the rhetoric is reckless. I've also heard that maybe I'll be arrested. I mean, this is the kind of thing that is just very frustrating, because it is just bold-faced lies. And I do have to say, this is Los Angeles. We are a city of immigrants. So if you were to try to go after the immigrant population in a massive way, do you understand that we have entire industries that would not be able to function? We are dependent on immigrant labor in this city, and embracing immigrants and embracing our diversity, to me, has always been a source of strength in our city.
Mayor Bess, I do want to go back to the part you talk about this being an experiment, because this is part of a larger conversation now that people are saying this is a test of power to see what happens when the federal government wants to have oversight over what cities and states are doing. So far, it seems that Trump's test, if that's what it is working. And of course, this weekend, we're seeing plans for no King's Day protests, which is around people saying this is America and we don't have a king and it should not be ruled by one person. How do you feel that this is going to play out in the courts? Because, of course, so far, Governor Newsom's request to immediately rescind these troops here has not gone through. Of course, they're saying that's just to give the Trump administration more time to make their argument. But do you think the courts eventually will side with you all?
Again, I think we need to put this in its historical context. In the first administration, Trump was able to appoint hundreds of judges, and it absolutely has changed the character of the judiciary system. Whereas in the past, we would be confident that the courts would throw it out because it's such a flagrant violation of the law. We no longer have that sense of confidence. We don't know what the courts are going to do. We have seen what has come out of our Supreme Court, and so we cannot rely. But it's very important to remember history. It was not that long ago, the first administration, and they laid some of the foundation for what they're doing now then.
You know, you and the governor have both been name called by the president. As you said, some people within his administration, even he said you should be arrested. He's called you incompetent. If he was sitting here with us at this point in time, what would you want to say to him?
Well, I would want to say to him to help bring peace back to our city by ending the raids, that we are a year away from the World Cup. The $130 million that this administration is going to spend by bringing out the military, who are not equipped, they're not trained, and they are not needed. That $130 million, California and especially Los Angeles could really use as we are trying to prepare to welcome the world in a year. I know he cares about the World Cup. I know he cares about that prestige. Well, if you care about that prestige, please help this city heal by ending the raids.
And Mayor Bass, unfortunately, so much of this conversation has been drowned in rhetoric. Have you seen any data from the administration when we talk about whether or not these people are criminals beyond being in the country illegally, if they are related to gangs, if they have committed violent crimes? Have you been able to get in touch with any of these detainees? Are there a list of who's being arrested in any crimes they've allegedly committed?
Well, that's, again, an example of the lack of due process, which has historically been the case. We are fortunate in our city to have a well-developed, well-respected immigrant rights infrastructure. And they are the ones who go out and try to make contact with the detainees. In the past, they were always able to facilitate legal visits from to the detainees. They were able to connect families with their family members. None of that is happening right now. We are not even sure the numbers. They're trying to gather that information, but no, they've not been allowed. So once again, when you look at something that to me is a flagrant violation of the law, you would think that the courts would automatically say, President, you have overreached. Stop. We do not know that that is going to be the case this time.
Before we let you go, very quickly, you said that there's a potential for curfews tonight. We know that there are protests being planned for Saturday. Do you plan to preemptively put in curfews or do something before those potential protests break out?
Well, you know, the emergency declaration I signed yesterday does not have an end date. So we will have the curfew for as long as the curfew is needed.
Okay, but is that on a day-by-day basis, or you're just going to keep it in place? No.
No. It's not. I think maybe what is confused a little bit is the fact that the curfew is lifted at 6 a.m.
Got it.
So the curfew is only in place from 8 p.m. until 6 p.m. every day.
Okay. Mayor Karen Bass, thank you so much for being with us. Appreciate it.
We appreciate you. Thank you.